Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the previous episode. Always good having that crew on, and we'll be back in another 10 episodes or so. But I want to welcome to the podcast a familiar voice. Talked to him about 3 years ago now. For the second time now. Want to welcome Mr. Marc Morales. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Fabian. How are you?
Doing all right. 3 years.
It's 3 years, right?
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. Actually, just Facebook always reminds you of stuff. So I just got a 2-year anniversary from when we started making 521 North Street, the movie. So when I did your interview, we hadn't even started making it yet. So it was like a whole year before you even started. Came close to it.
Yeah, I think you it was like kind of just not necessarily just like a concept, but you were just putting I guess you were just kind of writing it at that point, right?
I finished writing. I finished writing a long time ago. At that point, we were putting together a crew. We might have had a crew. We had a first. That's what happened. We were going to do it. COVID hit, so everyone shut down. Then during that time, I found another crew, and we put together that crew, and that's the crew we took into the actual production. So when I spoke with you, yeah, that's what we were doing, and we were casting also at the same time.
Yeah. Because I think I was looking back at it. I'm like, oh, what were we talking about? And so, yeah, we were talking about 521 North Main Street, but also I think your series, it's crazy out there.
Crazy out there, yeah. That we shot like 3 episodes of that. That's sitting in an editor's studio right now. We 3 of those cast members, 4. Like I said, 3 or 4. Some of those cast members we don't have anymore. That was shot. Wow, if I did your show 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, we shot that.
Wow.
So those 3 episodes are sitting somewhere. We basically almost forgot about them. Once we started shooting the movie 521 North Main Street, it was pretty much put on the back burner. And then once we finished 521 North Main Street, this past summer we shot a short film called Ledvig's Department Store. And once again, it's crazy out there, still on the back burner. Then our editor, he has it. It's like going over and he's like, hey man, what is this? He's like, what are we doing with this? And I said, I don't think it's finished yet. Mm-hmm. He's like, but I can put this together and I'm like, it's not done. It's not done. I said, it's a series. So we at least need shoot one more episode and then I think we would need some more scenes that we can insert in the first episode and the second episode and the third episode, and then just finish the whole thing with a brand new episode 4. And then possibly once we finish that part of it, then do like an hour-long film, because each episode only runs like 15 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So that was the whole thing.
So yeah, it's kind of cool, like looking back at things like that. Like I don't think I was like by any means, a professional musician or anything, but I had like little projects I did and I recorded them. And now, every now and then I'll check my downloads. Like, what was that song I was working on like 3 years ago? Right. I'm like, man, that sounds so cool. It's like, it's going down memory lane. You know what I mean?
Especially, yeah, it's crazy out there. It was like the first thing I ever did. I didn't go to film school, it was mostly, just watch a lot of movies and finally just having, the courage to say, okay, let's try this.
Yeah.
And, I look at it now, some of those clips, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to expand on. I've grown in 4 years. I have more ideas. That shouldn't be there, or that we should take that out and add something in there. So, it was a small project, but I've gotten older, so my brain, it's expanding. So little projects just become these huge projects.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, and in the process, you start to hone your craft and really polish things up and whatnot, right? And so you're looking back at it and you're like, oh, I could just do so much more with this.
That's it. It's like, I see it as, I don't know if you skateboard. I like skateboarding. I can't do tricks. I can't do an ollie. For those of you who know what ollie is, I can't do a kickflip. I'm not going to grind a rail or else I'm going to bust my ass. But I can get on my board and ride it down a hill and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And but I spent a lot of time at the skate park taking pictures and stuff. But that's basically it's the same thing. You know, a skater, they're gonna try to grind that rail and they're gonna miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're gonna get up, they're gonna try it again. And that's the way I see, writing. It's expanding, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. If you don't hit it the first time, you're going to hit it the second time. Don't hit it the second time, you're going to get it the third time. And then once you land it, you might go, oh, I need to add a little variation onto that. Maybe I'll throw a spin in there or something else. Or coming from my perspective as a writer, it's maybe I can throw a bigger word in there. I'll expand my vocabulary as much as I can and try to find that one word and throw it in there. And it's like, oh shit, it's something new. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, little projects just become big projects. Like I want to do a skating thing, just shoot it myself, and I'm like, oh, it'll be like this micro budget. I'll shoot it for like 500. Then I sat down to write it, and now I'm like, yeah, that's not $500. Like that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it always starts. Like, oh, be small. And then you get like some people behind you, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it, we'll do it. And then a couple months later, you're like, here's the script. And you're like, man, this is not small. This is going to take months and stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like, I have a friend who always says, he's like, don't curb what you're writing. He's like, just let it go. He's like, eventually people, if it's good enough, they're going to try to catch up to you.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can't try to go backwards. He's like, or
Right.
else you're just going to start to, you know, you're
Nitpick.
going to
Yeah.
stop your progression. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not letting you be you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, just to kind of catch everybody up, maybe if people are just listening or they didn't maybe hear the first episode, give us like the nutshell version. Like, how did you get to this point where you're making 521 North Main Street? I think like the big thing that I took away from the last time we talked was like you weren't afraid of saying like, hey, I got lucky with a lot of things, right? Like,
Got
yes, you're,
lucky.
yeah, you're working hard on stuff, but like sometimes it's just like, hey, it was just kind of written in the stars. It was like fate.
Right. I think if you put it out, I mean, there's lucky, like I was walking down the street and someone's like, hey, here's $1 million. Like, damn, lucky. But then, I guess if you work on something long enough, eventually you're going to find that luck, that person that's going to be there going, hey, I kind of believe in this project. What do you want to do with this? And that's exactly what happened because I wrote 521 North Main Street. God, now what's it? Since almost 4 years since I've spoken to you, so we'll go back to maybe 7 years ago. I finally wrote that script out, the first draft, and that was when I was living back in Jersey. Finally, we moved out here to Texas a few years later. I kind of touched it up a little bit more, but I don't think I'm for me. And then someone meet someone and they start working with someone else and then they tell that person and that person's like, oh shit, really, I've never been involved in movies, but can I get a look at this script? And that's exactly what happened. I'm a friend of mine, Jennifer Clark, was working with Bill Pohl, who's a real estate agent who owns a real estate company. It's a local real estate company here in Texas. And one day, we all got together. I showed him the script. He was like, what's the next step? I said, well, let me put a reading together. So I got a group of actors. We all sat down in my house. He came over and sat there. At that point, the script was about 170 pages. So it was like almost a 3-hour read. And we all sat there. And at the end, he was like, let's take it. Let's go. Let's see what we can do. We'll all just jump on the boat. And if it sinks, it sinks. If it floats, it floats. But let's just go for it. But yes, I very lucky. It's like opportunity came to the door and said, hey, can I come in? It's like, oh shit, yeah, come on, let's go. And at that point too, I mean, I'm 53 at this point. I think opportunities had come already, and I was just like, nah, I don't want that, or
Uh-huh.
I don't know. You just don't recognize them. But that one just right in my face. So I was like, no, we got to take this. Let's go.
Mhm. And
So we
looking at it, from my perspective, it's like, okay, luck, yes, but also it's a tale of perseverance because you mentioned, it being like this 7-year project, right?
right.
A lot of people don't have that patience, right? A lot of people don't have that 7-year patience, and if it doesn't come, within a couple of years, it's like, okay, maybe it wasn't meant to be. But so now that things are actually, have actually come together, you got that trailer out and everything. How does that feel knowing that, hey, this is, something that I worked on for so long, and now it's coming, it's out.
It feels good. I remember finishing it, and it's like with any job, it takes like you're there with a month and you're immersed with a lot of people, a lot of personalities, and you're gonna walk away liking some people, you're gonna walk away not liking some people, and vice
Mhm.
versa. People are gonna dig you, they're not gonna dig you. You went in liking some people, and then you're like, you know what? I don't like you anymore.
Mhm.
And so but and there was a lot of that going on set, but at the same time, the was to finish.
Mhm.
We had to finish the project. That was it. So at some point, you got to put your head down and, take it over the finish line. And when it was all over, it was just like, oh, thank God, I don't even care about seeing a product now. I don't even know. I'm just happy I finished.
Mhm.
So you're just so satisfied. But then, you wait, you send it to an editor, and you're just like, do whatever you want. I don't care. Just do whatever you want. Then
Mhm.
that editor comes back and it's like, well, here's your first trailer. And you look at it, you're like, oh man, I guess I don't have kids, but I guess it's like, watching your kid do something that you're proud of for the first year. It's like, oh shit, that came out of me. It came together, because you don't see it coming together on set.
Mhm.
You just, I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know, but it it's fulfilling. It's amazing, and you're just grateful. For
Mhm.
me, I'm just grateful that it's there. When I get down, when I'm feeling a little bit sad, I'll turn on my trailer. I'll go to YouTube. Hey, and I'll watch the trailer again. I'm like, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and it's definitely addictive. I'll tell you that right now. I definitely addictive. And we just got a new trailer. Our editor reached out yesterday. And he was like, I just made you a new trailer for 521 North Main Street. He's like, it's 30 seconds. He's like, it's a little retro thing. He's like, you can keep it if you want. He goes, it's on the house.
Uh-huh.
So I watched and I was like, great. This is great. It's more, I don't know if you saw the other trailer, but
I did,
it's
yeah.
like more, yeah, that one's fun.
Uh-huh.
It shows the comedy, it shows that it's a horror also, but he made the 30-second thing. It's a straight out horror. It's like a 1970s trailer. It's like, from Last House on the Left. Oh, in this house, you hear the narration. I'm like, this is badass.
Mhm.
It's like very cool. So to answer your question, it just feels good. It just,
Mhm.
like I said, you feel like you accomplished something. It's like seeing a piece of dirt. You can clean your house every day, but there's something about when you see the dust on your desk and you take a napkin and you just wipe that dust away,
Uh-huh.
you're like, it's gone. I did something. You feel accomplished,
Right. Yeah.
It's that's what it feels like for me.
And I did watch the trailer. I thought it was pretty cool, man, because like, I've talked to a lot of people on the podcast, and I talk to everybody, right? So whether, you were in a big movie, or you wrote a big movie, or you're doing it on your iPhone and putting it, out there all indie, right?
Yep.
But your trailer looks very polished. It looks like something I would see in the movie theaters. Um
Thank you.
and it looks good. I think if if and when I share it, sorry, to social media, people are gonna be like, what is this, where can I watch this, right? But give people a quick, like, I know you're old enough to remember, because I am,
Yep.
the blockbuster kind of back of the movie, synopsis of what is 521 North Main Street.
Uh, our PR person just wrote a really good thing like that. But basically, it's a it's a group of ghost hunters, but they're not ghost hunters. They're they're basically they're a parody bunch of ghost hunters. They don't believe in ghosts. They know they're not going to find ghosts. They think that's all crap. So they go to all these different spots. Everywhere that a ghost hunting team's been and recorded, they go there and make fun of it or whatever. You know, and they end up going to the Clown Motel, which is a real place in Tonopah, Nevada. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Mm.
And the Clown Motel has been, I don't know, probably in like 20 different ghost hunting TV shows. There's like right now, there's probably like 10 movies about the Clown Motel. I think they're making another one right now over there.
Mm.
That's why our movie's called 521 North Main Street, because it would have just got buried with all the other Clown Motel movies. So we just took the address of the place. And so this team goes there thinking it's going to be all just fun and games. And they accidentally summon um, the demons, and they get stuck in this this hell world, but to them it just looks normal. They're in the motel, they go outside the motel, the ground, everything just seems the same until they try to leave and they just end up walking in circles, and then they're back there and they're stuck with these three demon clowns.
Mhm.
Reno the clown, the juggler, and the terror. And and instead of just being all out, serial killer type, these three demon clowns, they are witty. They talk a
Mhm.
lot, they make jokes. It's like they invited you to a dinner party
Mhm.
and they have all day to mess with you. And they want to keep you, they want to savor you, and they just torture this group of people. And that's
Mhm.
pretty much about it. And then we out the sequel also.
Right. Yeah. So, watching it, just kind of I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, horror is one of those things where it's never going away.
Nope.
It's kind of always like in. Um, whether you're talking about like the old school, classic like slashers, right?
Right.
Or like something like the Saw series of movies, right? Every single decade, right? You can find horror and people love it. What is it about horror? Like what is it about that genre that really spoke to you? Like why is that the direction you wanted to go?
I grew up on it. 1970s horror is pretty incredible. I mean, we had a lot of money, I think, went into horror back in the 70s. So I think that's probably what turned me on to it a little bit more because,
Mhm.
my parents went to go see it. A lot of people went to go see it. They were big budget films. So we had, like The Exorcist and stuff like that. Then John Carpenter comes along, with his little independent film called Halloween. And having HBO home box office, back then, cable TV was like a new thing.
Mhm.
And so we would sit in our houses, we didn't want to go outside anymore. We could watch movies, and
Mhm.
Halloween was constantly on HBO. And so I just watch it over and over again. And then all of a sudden we had the video stores start booming up all over the place. And it's like, oh my God, I can not only watch it in my house on HBO, but now I can go and pick any movie I want that video store has. And
Mhm.
once you went in there, you're like 11, 12 years old, horror was everywhere.
Yeah.
Horror genre was everywhere. And that's because, you had, all of these low micro budget companies just popping up left and right and putting out the most outlandish horror shit,
Mhm.
like Slumber Party Massacre and I Spit on Your Grave and all these like great movies. So there was just a plethora of them. So I would sit there. What are we watching now? What are we watching
Right.
now? My friends and I, that's all we did. And all of a sudden, we were just watching it. We were that it was becoming our language.
Uh-huh.
We would scare it. Like, hey, watch out for Michael Myers. Our friend Michael became Michael Myers. You
Uh-huh.
know, and all of a sudden he was chasing us through his house like some psycho. We were running from him, and and it was just a great thing. And then we were introduced to Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. So it just became, for me, it was just part of my life. It was almost like a friend.
Mhm.
Like people go, "What are you doing today? Which friend are you watching?" I'm like, "Oh, John Carpenter's The Thing is on, so that's what
Mhm.
I'm watching right now." But yeah. So and another reason was I never wrote a movie. I never did anything, man. I came from theater. I wrote plays, and to
Mhm.
me, it seems that since horror, I was watching horror so much that would, if I was going to write a movie, I was going to go down that road. I was
Mhm.
going to take my time and put it into that. And I'm like, well, if it happens, if it becomes something, then at least it's something that I love. I can't say anything more about horror. I don't know. It infects me. I wake up in the morning. It's what I turn on the TV. It's
And usually I find people that love horror like are really passionate about it, Like I could say like, hey, I love comedy movies or whatever, but I'm not
right.
gonna be like, oh, it's my big passion. People love horror and they're like all in on it, you know?
Yeah, it's great. Like we did a horror convention called Terror Fest. I mean, it wasn't a big turnout, but they come over to the table. No one had saw our movie. They didn't know. All they knew that we made a movie. We had our little video screen set up. We were playing our trailer, and they would just come over and they were like glued to it. They're like, "What is it? When's it come out? What's it about?" And it was like, oh my God, it's like this is great. And they just, I don't know. It's it's hard to explain. It's like, why do you love a person? It's just maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
I, I think too.
Everything.
Yeah, I think too. It's just like it's pretty. It's not so like one dimensional where it's like, oh well, it's just scary stuff. Because a lot of horror movies are not scary, but they have like this really kind of like cool, creepy factor to it where it's just like, man, that's fucked up, but I like it. you
Yeah,
know?
it's the different categories. Like like I said, John Carpenter. So I'm all in on it. Whatever John Carpenter does, I'm in on it. I
Mhm.
like movies like The Exorcist. Uh, the first Saw movie, the first one,
Mhm.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yep.
Anything after that, I won't watch. Not because I think anything of it. It's not my thing. The same
Uh-huh.
thing with Hostel. Hostel can be a great movie. I'm not going to sit through Hostel. I don't want to watch that type of horror.
Mhm.
Nothing against it, but Last House on the Left, as great as a movie as it is. I mean, who made? I'm talking about the original. You mean you had Sean Cunningham direct? What did he direct it? Or he produced it? And I think Wes Craven even directed that movie. But it's so harsh. It's a hard movie to watch, and then I only sat through it because I'm like, it's so well known. I gotta put myself through this movie. But I would never ever sit through a movie like Last House on the Left again.
Mhm.
I don't like horror like that. I think they're great. What's the other one? Rob Zombie.
Oh,
Rob Zombie. He remade Halloween. Good for you. I'm not going to watch your Halloween. Nothing against you, but I know it's going to be something, because you made House of a Thousand Corpses.
Mhm.
And I've been told by people that there are scenes in that movie that are beautiful. They just shot so well.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm sure they are. I'm not going to sit there and watch it.
Right. Mhm.
That's not the category. If I was in a video store and it was like there was a whole category of horror that consisted of all those movies, I'd stay out of that one.
Mhm.
That's not for me. I'm going to stay over here with these guys over here. I like my Hellraiser. I like all this. I like this fantasy stuff over here. But, don't grab me. I don't want to go. I don't want to go to Europe one day and think, am I going to get abducted? Is somebody going to like chop me up with a saw for their own, personal pleasure? I'm like, no, 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 no. So I
Mhm.
like staying on this side. And when I write, it's the stuff I like to see.
Yeah. You mentioned Saw. I actually watched Saw for the first time a couple months ago ever. I'd
Good,
never watched
right?
any other Saw movies. That, like you mentioned, that first one, it's very hard to top, you know?
hmm
But to me, it was just like it's a different kind of horror because I'm like, that's not your typical horror movie, right? It's kind of more you're thinking, and then at the end, you're like, what the hell? What
Yeah.
just happened? Right.
I
And I think that's like the appeal. It kind of, it draws you in, it makes you think, it makes you question a lot of things.
That's definitely it. That's the way I felt about Saw. It was a game. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, okay, And for the most part, they were already there. It's like, how did they get there? You're playing the whole game. How do you get out? What do you do? What would you do? Da da da.
Mhm.
Then the second one comes out, and I saw it, but I'm like, I've seen it. I've been there.
Mhm.
I don't need to see it again.
Then it just kind of became a formula. See, and that's where you
Yeah,
start to get, I think, a lot of times with horror movies where it's like, okay, now we already know what to expect. It's a formula. Like as a kid, one series of movies that really kind of got my attention, that's in, I guess, the horror genre was the Puppet Master movies, right? I'm
yeah.
like, what the hell? That's so creepy. That's so cool. Like, you mean to tell me these toys, are killers and this and that? And after you watch like one or two of them, you're like, okay, like, I've had enough. Same thing with
Puppet
Leopard.
Master goes on. You
Yeah,
know how many Puppet Masters there are,
it's like more than
dude?
10, right?
They go on. Then it's got Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys.
Uh-huh.
It's great. I've never been a huge Puppet Master fan, but for some reason I watched Demonic Toys, and then I'm like, oh, this is all out of the same cup. I think it's Full Moon
Mm.
Productions. I think that all might be Full Moon. And I'm like, oh, this is Puppet Master. So I started watching Puppet Masters. I'm like, not a huge fan,
Mhm.
but they're fun. And I like, a production kind of like Full Moon because basically I think they do the Evil Bong series also. And basically, they're low budgets and he uses a lot of the same, actors and actresses in it. And
Mhm.
cool because I don't know, it's it's like a sense of home. You're recognizable. and they're all in it for the same thing. You're like, oh, I like this dude in that other movie, and I liked him in this one. I'm going to watch him again and just get
Mhm.
comfortable. I like that. I like seeing stuff like that. Paul Anderson, who did Boogie Nights, would do that for a while. He had his core group of actors like William H. Macy and a
Mhm.
bunch of them. It's just very comfortable.
Mhm.
It's like seeing a McDonald's and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
McDonald's. Everyone loves McDonald's. I feel comfortable here. Give me that burger. So,
Now, the other thing too about horror is that, if you really get into the genre, you see there's a lot of stuff out there where it's like, what were they thinking? Right now, there's like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. The
dude,
now that Mickey Mouse is in the
dude,
public domain, they released immediately, like a Mickey Mouse horror movie. You know what I'm saying? So like you can really get creative with that.
it's well, I'm going to give a shout out to Charlie Band. I think he does Full Moon Productions. So I didn't mention Charlie Band. But yeah, have you seen Winnie the Pooh? I haven't seen it, but I think that movie grossed a lot of money. And I
It
know they're
did, but
making a sequel.
I'm just like, I'm like, I can't. I maybe one day I'll just kind of put it on and be like, hey, let's check it out. But to me, it's like a mental block right now. I'm just like, how? Come on,
It just
But it is, a lot of people really did enjoy it though.
it's like a sandwich. It's like, oh, it's a ham and cheese sandwich. Okay. Then all of a sudden someone comes along like I'm gonna cut it into fours, or I'm gonna add lettuce, I'm gonna add a tomato, I'm gonna add this to it. It's like, oh, it's a little bit more than a ham and cheese now. And that's the thing, Winnie the Pooh, it's like no one ever thought. And all of a sudden someone's like, wait a minute. This is in public domain. I could take this. And the first thing they do is make a heart. That's to me, it was brilliant.
Mhm.
I mean, I was just like, these guys are awesome. And is it the same people doing it to Mickey Mouse too? Because I mean, I would never do it. It wouldn't be in my head. But hey, good for them. Good for
Mhm.
them. And obviously they did it for money reasons. It wasn't like, I'm sure it wasn't an artistic choice. It wasn't like, you know what? I always wanted to make a heart. It's like, it's open. Quick, get a pen, get a paper. We got it. We got it. We get the windows open. Like no matter what we write, it's going to sell. And I
Mhm.
think that's exactly what was it. And maybe they wrote something good. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but the door was open. It's like just
Yeah,
go
it,
write
it's
anything.
it's crazy that for like Mickey Mouse, for example, they already had it like done. As soon as like they were able to put it out, they're putting it out. And so I'm wondering if that's going to get like the same kind of Winnie the Pooh, result there. But I
That's going
wanted,
to probably get a bigger result because more people
yeah,
know Disney. Mickey. They're like, what is it they can make Mickey do?
Mhm.
So yeah. I'll probably
But
see the Mickey one before I see the Winnie the Pooh one for some
yeah,
reason.
but I wanted to bring that up because again, horror kind of ties into like these creepy things, and a lot of the times it has to do with like playing into like the whole innocence of childhood, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you've got like the Mickey Mouse, Winnie the Pooh, you got the toys like in Puppet Masters, and then in a lot of movies, yours included, right? You got the whole clown thing, right? And there's such a big appeal when you put clowns in movies and turn it into like this big horror thing. Obviously you got like It, right?
Right.
But there's been a lot, a lot of like clowns in horror movies, right? Is that something that you kind of grew up with? Like you had like a fascination with clowns or anything like that? What is it about clowns? Why do people want to why are they so drawn to clowns in horror?
Well, to answer that question, I think, in my opinion, I think I read it where people are just when a person puts on the clown makeup, it's something about that you don't know. You can see the clown, but you don't know what the person behind that makeup. You don't know what their intention is. That's what I read. That's why people have this fear. I don't find clowns scary. I don't think I think whenever people put clown, I feel that the movie it had the book first. There was the television show for back in the made for television movie first. So it had a lot of steam behind it. Plus Stephen King's name. I mean, God. But just movies about clowns, I never found them scary. But demons, obviously, I think are horrifyingly scary. So I'm like, well, you know, the Clown Motel itself, their main thing, the reason why they're called the Clown Motel is when you go inside the motel, the lobby is just filled with clown dolls, the entire lobby. So that's the whole thing behind it. So I'm like, well, I have to have clowns in it somehow, but I just don't want to have I don't think clowns are scary. I said, but I do think demons are scary. So instead of, I had to go through all that first where I can throw someone in a clown mask and write something about a slasher running around the clown motel doing that. I said, but do I want to do that? I'm like, no, because I don't like that. I like the demon part. So let's have just demons that dress up as clowns. So I never really looked at them as clowns.
I see.
I always see them as demons first. And even in the movie itself, they're explaining, someone's like the clowns, and they're like, it's not so, they're not clowns, they're demons, but kind of dressed up because the whole story is the motel is supposed to be buried on top of all of these dead this dead circus, this burned people in this circus. They were all murdered. So that's supposed to be built on top of that. So, and these demons obviously just took the flesh and they start to wear it, and now they're clowns. And they do the same thing when they start killing in the movie itself. Like they start possessing, the members of the Entity Explorers, the ghost hunting team. But I never thought clowns were scary, but demons were always scary. So I'm like, let's just have these demons dress up like clowns. We'll have them walking around, but they'll never be like, well, I'm a goofy clown. They don't have big red noses. That's another thing too. I'm like, all right, they're gonna be clowns. They gotta look just a little bit different. They gotta be prettier. They can't have the wild red big wigs and this. I don't want any of that stuff. I'm like, we have a really great makeup person, Sergio Guerrera. So I'm like, Sergio, what can we do? He's like, I'll hook them up. I'll make them look real pretty. And that's what we went for. I said, I look at the new It, and I'm like, I would never go near that guy. So I want my clowns to be approachable. I want people to watch them. I don't want people to be afraid of them. I want people to be sitting in the audience watching my clowns kill people, mangle people, eat people, and still be like, yeah, I want to go hang out with them. I want to meet that dude. If I get killed, that's okay. That was it. So
Yeah.
to answer your question, I don't think clowns are funny. I don't think clowns are really scary, but I do think demons are, and I just said, oh, I can make them just demons running around the typical demon makeup, or I could just make them look like pretty little clowns.
Yeah.
And that was it. It's like putting a kid as a demon. I think it's always scarier because, it's like, oh, the kid looks so innocent. Oh, he just ate my hand.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments.
Yeah, that's that. You're mentioning how it's like, well, but I kind of want to relate to them. I kind of want to hang out with them, right? I kind of see that as like, the almost, and it's not horror related, but almost like the transformation of the Joker, right?
Mm-hmm.
At first, you got like this really, a big kind of like caricature, right? It's a clown. It's obviously a clown, right?
Right.
He's got the bright colors and everything, but now, people really love the Joker because he's just a little more human, right? You start to think like, well, you know what? He's kind of right on a few things, right? And now he's got like this whole emo look and everything, and it's like, there's obviously different variations of the Joker. They got like the tattooed face Joker. They got the Heath Ledger Joker.
Yep.
But again, yeah, they're starting to look a little more like, hey, this could be like a real person. It's not necessarily just like a stage performer. And I think that's kind of, whatever kind of form it takes. The whole clown look. Again, it's just it seems to draw people in.
Right. At one point in the film, the character Milo encounters Reno the clown for the first time, but he thinks it's just all part of the clown motel theme, and he looks at him and he's like, "Oh, you guys take this clown thing really far, don't you?" And Reno just looks at him dumbfounded, like, "What clown thing?" The guy's like, "What?" And it's like, because they don't see themselves as clowns. It's just, we're just hanging out. We're just hanging out. We look great. We're going to kill you. So let's go. Yeah. And our thing too is, like I mentioned, our special effects guy, Sergio Guerrera, he's just like me. I mean, our love is horror, and it's definitely 80s horror. And back in the 80s, Tom Savini was a god, and I forgot what the other's name is. I can't remember the guy who did The Thing. That's so bad. But everything was a practical effect. They weren't doing CGI. If
Mhm.
someone's head blew up, they blew up. They tell you they did it with a shotgun, or they used the air compressor, but and they shot it. There's no green screen. So when we decided to do this film, that was a big thing. We're like, let's can we get those practical effects? And Sergio was like, yeah, we can do it now. Now seeing the finished product, like we did explosion that we did with a practical effect that, but when our editor saw it, he was like, I couldn't keep it. He goes, I had to do it, digitally.
Mm.
I'm like, okay. He's like, he goes, you didn't have we only shot it with one angle because at that point, everyone's pissed at each other. So, and setting up a shot like that takes hours. So we got it. We're like, we're good, we're done. Let's go. He's
Mhm.
like, what you should do is get it shot from one angle, shoot it from another angle, shoot it from another angle, and then you got shit to work with.
Right.
So, but for us, we only shot the one angle. So our editor was like, he goes, I got to do it digitally. I'm like, all right, it still looks cool, but
Mhm.
our whole goal is, it was all practical effects. Pay tribute to Tom Savini. Do it, try to just do it that way. And also that brings people. We felt that would bring people in also because they're gonna go, why am I going to see another horror film with special effects? Like these are real. These are practical effects. It's not the green screen or anything like that. Try giving this. Give it a chance. We also a decision that we made during editing was to make it look more like a grindhouse film.
Mhm.
So, the grindhouse films are, they have like the static, the breaking in it. Who did one? Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, they did Grindhouse. I, my opinion, Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror is the better one. I enjoy that one a lot. I think that's some badass shit.
Uh-huh.
But, our editor, Excelsior Studios, that's who they are. Give them a shout out. And Jack did the editing on the film. You know, we discussed that, and he was like, "I can do some." He's like, "We can really make it work." So a lot of the shaping of the film, I mean, the shooting happened, but
Mhm.
a lot of the shaping of it took place with our editor. He had lot of great ideas. Like, I just felt it needed something, and he was like, "Let's go down that grindhouse road. We can manipulate this." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And like, he would show me clips. I'm like, "This is great. Let's just go for it.
Right. Mhm.
Let's do it." And now we feel like we're happy.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, good to hear. So now I want to just kind of go down and the where can people find the film kind of thing, like
Ha
where can they
ha!
watch it, right? Like now that this Odyssey is kind of I don't want to say coming to a close because you still gotta have people watch it and everything like that, but like where can people watch 521 North Main Street?
Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, so we have our exclusive premiere in Texas. We're out of Texas, from New York though, but we live in Texas now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're High Five and Ants. The company is out of Texas, yada yada yada. So we're doing a premiere at Palace Theater in Georgetown on the 12th of January. We thought, like I said, I keep on referring to the 80s and the 70s. Back in the 70s, for those of you who are too young to remember any of this, when they made a movie, especially a horror film, it was shot on film. So they'd have these cans, and then someone would actually go around to independent movie theaters and stuff and try to sell it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you did. So I had this idea that, hey, we have like a drive-in that's close to us called Doc's Drive-In. And since we're in Texas, it stays pretty warm, so they stay open year round. We reached out to them and we made a deal with them, and they're going to play our movie first. We're going to give it to them. So we're going to play it. So if you want to see it, it's going to be at Doc's Drive-In in January, March, definitely at the end of March, probably early April. And then if that works out, we're going to try to do that. We're going to go to other theaters, other drive-ins
Mm-hmm.
around Texas and pitch it to them. And then if that works out again, then we're going to try to go out of state to other drive-ins and pitch it to them. And then we'll take it and try to, find a streaming platform. Now, the business decision, because I don't know, we just said, hey, let's try to be different. Let's see what happens. And we're trying to just actually get it into movie theaters,
Okay.
drive-ins preferably,
Yeah,
because we
that
feel that it's that type of movie.
that is different now, because streaming's like king right now, but I feel like there
But
are
there's
like,
so many movies. There's just so many
right,
movies. It's gonna
yeah,
get buried. And oh God, and nothing against it. Like I said, it's not, it's just it's it's the way people do things now. And eventually we're gonna go down that road. I'm not we're looking into it now. Our PR person, we're ready for it. All the subtitles are done, everything that needs to be done for it. It's ready to be submitted. But God, it's like writing a book and just going to the largest library in the world
hmm
and just sticking your book into the shelf and walking away.
hmm
You know, we don't we want to give it a chance, and in order to give it a chance, you either got to do a lot of promotion, which costs a lot of money, which we don't have. But I got gas in my car. I got my movie on my laptop.
hmm
I can go down to the guy at the drive-in and say, hey, or I can send it through email. We can do that. Um, about it, I don't know. Like I watched, there's a show on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
I love that.
it's
Yeah.
always behind the scenes. And there's when they talk about Halloween, the producer, that's what he did. He got his movie and he just went to the movie theater. It's like, oh, you guys want to see this? And you went, and that's what they did back then. But I don't know. It's something about it's grassroots. It just
hmm
feels good. I got the time. I'm not in a rush. I
hmm
didn't even think the movie would come this far. I just wanted to write a script, see if I could write a screenplay. And
Right.
here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck it, let's just keep going. Everything else is gravy. Let's see what we can do.
hmm
Hopefully it doesn't stop. I don't want to work a regular job anymore. Go back to that. But right now, it's good. So all your viewers and listeners, yeah, we're gonna throw it out into the drive-ins in Texas first. If those work out, we're gonna try to do other states, but streaming will come. It'll
Yeah.
come. It'll probably come a lot sooner before we even try other states. Once we
hmm
hit Texas, we'll probably go, let's stream it and just keep trying to get it out there, as many people see it as possible.
For sure.
Because
Yeah. I mean,
you do a lot of work, you want to get it out there. And we got good
yeah.
acting too, just a lot of good actors in it, and they
hmm
deserve to be seen as
hmm
well. And everyone needs to have their work showcased.
Like I want to watch it. I'm not in Texas, but I want to watch it, and so I hope it does. At some point soon come to streaming, and
I can
you know,
get you a copy. I can
oh, for
get you a
sure. Yeah,
few.
yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely, are you going to put it like on like on YouTube? I mean, obviously you want to put it like on a streaming platform, but are y'all going to put it on YouTube at some point or something like that?
I don't know about YouTube. I really don't know too much about YouTube. Right now, what's Jones, our PR person, I forgot what platform she's working with. Whatever platform she's working it with, I guess that's the platform that sells it to other people. So
Okay.
I don't know how it works, but I don't know. I don't know. We do have a YouTube channel. I'll probably throw up our short film Ledmig's Department Store on our YouTube channel soon. That's like a 12-minute thing, but it's kind of cool. There's blood at the end, but I don't know about that one's not my decision.
Right, right.
I wrote it and directed it, but we do have an executive producer, Bill Pohl, who so I would have to ask him like, Bill, can I throw this on YouTube? He's like,
Mhm.
what? Or he'll go, what's YouTube?
Yeah.
But I don't know, possibly, but definitely we're looking at the drive-ins first, and then it'll
Mhm.
be streamed, then maybe YouTube. But like I said, give me a few weeks, I'll definitely get you
Sure.
your
Yeah,
own copy,
appreciate
and
it.
you can I'll send it
Yeah,
to you.
man. I want to see, that little mix of horror and comedy and drama. It seems like it's not like a one-dimensional kind of thing. It's not just like, oh, well, we're gonna try to scare people. I like a little bit of sarcasm. I like a little bit of dark comedy. And so I'm really curious to and just talking to you, I kind of get a sense for how you think a little bit, right?
Mhm.
So, I'm really curious to see how that all plays out in the film.
So we have friends that they knew about the movie, you know, oh, they knew when we started making it and everything else. Excuse me. So we were just like, guess what? We have the movie. And they're like, oh, dude, it's like 3 years later. Cool. Like, we'll come over. We'll show it to you. So we're like we tell all our friends, like, if you're gonna come watch our movie, you got to be honest with us at the end. We don't want to hear, oh, it's great. If it sucks, it sucks. We don't. That's what makes us friends. Just be honest. It's okay. I'm not gonna hate you. So they came over. They sat down. They watched the whole thing. And we looked at them, we're like, so? And they're like, honestly, they're like, we were afraid to come over because all we were thinking was, dude, what if it sucks? Like, did it suck? They're like, oh, we really enjoyed it. They enjoyed it so much that they called two friends, and they're like, and their two friends came back the next week,
Mhm.
and they sat through it and they watched it, and then their friend, that one of their friends, that there were a couple, the woman Joan, the wife, she was like, can I work on this with you guys? I'll be your PR person. So that's how we picked up our PR person. So,
Cool, man.
and yeah, and they would say, they're like, oh, we didn't think it would be funny too. And what Joan did, Joan, since she's our PR person, she had to add subtitles. So she had to type out all the subtitles, and I would get phone calls from her going, "This shit's funny." I'm like, "You saw it already." She's like, "But there were certain things I missed." She goes, "But with the subtitles," she's like, I never knew that this one said this or that one said that." She's
Mhm.
like, and then there's that line where, someone says, "Oh, I'm like I said, I'm old, so Lita Ford was big in the 1980s. She was a rock star,
Yeah.
but you know that at one point, the name is thrown out. Someone says, blah blah blah, Lita Ford, and then later on, you hear someone's leaving, going, they say, "Who's Lita Ford?" But you never really get it until she was typing out. She was like, and she's our age, she's my age. She was just like, "Lita Ford, that's what he said." And I'm like, yeah, man, there it is. It's a little thing. So she's like,
Yeah. So people that get the reference will pop. Yeah.
the pop, yeah, I think that we really landed the balance between horror and comedy. My friend Roxanne will say, you got a little bit more comedy than you do horror, you
Hmm.
know, but she's like, it still works.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Like you got to have, the a balance in there, right? It can't just be one straight, I think these days, right, to keep people's attention, it can't just be one straight genre of like it's just this, it's black and white. You got to mix it up a little bit, you know.
Absolutely, because I guess the attention span is so short nowadays,
Mhm.
and there's just so much out there. So, if I turn on a horror film, it's like, oh, okay, he's killing her with a knife and she has no shirt on. Okay, I can watch that over here. Like, give me something different. Add to this. Make this bigger. If the serial killer's going at it with a knife, have them say something witty.
Mhm.
Have them say something. I think at one point in our movie, someone's getting beat with a bat. A demon, the character's going to town on this demon, but the demon's laughing. And there's blood and everything. He's like, "Oh, you're really fucking me up. You're really fucking me up." I'm like, "That's great." We got the blood. It's kind of gross. You don't want to look at it, but at the same time, you do, because he's saying some pretty funny shit.
Yeah, that's
That
that's true.
actor's selling that shit. That's
Mhm.
great. You know, it's kind of the throwback for me. I was like, oh, it's that scene in Casino where they're beating Joe Pesci with the man. Joe Pesci just talking shit the whole time. That's
Uh-huh.
great. That's great. Because yeah, I don't know. I hope I never get hit with a bat, but I don't think I'm gonna pass out right away. I think and I want to talk some shit before I go out. So, you know, have the comedy. The more blood, the more comedy. Balance it all out. That's the way I see it.
I like that. Yeah, the more the more comedy, right?
The more
Um,
comedy, man. Freddie said it. Freddie started it all. Freddie, he was like a stand-up comedian, Freddie Krueger, and that's what made it great.
and that's what made it different.
And that's what made
Yeah,
it different.
for
Yeah.
sure. So what else do you want to throw out there about the film, right? What else can we tell people? Like let's draw them in. Let's get them really excited about this.
What can I say, everyone? Like I said, if you're into funny things, if you're into the desert, if you're into demons, if you're into a lot of blood, witty banter, if you're into 420, there you go. We have a lot of that in the movie too.
Huh.
People, for where it's legal on the, for all of you, we have a character. We have that stoner character. um, and then I don't know what else to say. We have a sequel that we're working on, and hopefully we'll be shooting in another month or two,
Yeah. No.
with a whole new cast and some old cast. But if you're just looking, what can I say? If you're looking for fun, if you're looking for an hour and 29 minutes of just sit down, don't have to think about it, fun. This is what it is. 521 North Main Street, the movie that we made, is that. You can just sit there, enjoy it, laugh. If you get stoned on the East Coast, wherever it's legal, get a joint and watch it. Have a great time. Uh, invite your friends. One of those. Invite friends over. I always see it also as like, you know, it's like a midnight movie.
Mm.
You know, you play at midnight, you yell at the screen if you want to yell at the screen. You know, that that's it. I don't know.
Oh
I,
yeah,
I
that was
have
good,
nothing
man.
else.
It hit a lot of points there, right?
Hope
Um,
so.
for sure. Where can people find you if get in contact with you or follow your projects and things like that? Social media.
Okay, you can get in contact with me, come to my house. But yeah. But what else do we have? We have you can go to Marc Morales, 891. That's my Instagram account. There's also Marc Morales, my Facebook account. Then we have 521 North Main Street has a Facebook page. Our High Five and Ants, that's the name of the production company. We have our own website, so you can always go there and see what's going on. And that's really about it. Instagram, I said Instagram.
Mhm.
I don't do a lot. I don't do X.
Yeah, what the hell is that anyway, right?
Oh, yeah, what was that? I don't know. I wasn't even doing the one it was called before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So that's where you can find me. And if, like I said, we our web the website we have is for the production company, which is High Five and Ants Production .com. And yeah, you can find out everything you want to know about us there. Or, like I said, reach out to me or alphaville2 at hotmail.com. There's my email. You can reach out there, ask me questions. Anything you want. I'm around.
Cool,
Just
man.
ask it.
Yeah, I mean, I really actually enjoyed the first interview. A lot of people like gave me feedback like that sounds really cool, and now it's nice to be able to do a follow up, and so like people that might have been wondering like when is that coming out or hey what happened to that guy, it's really cool for them to be able to now expect to see the film soon, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it makes me feel good, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Uh,
it's
just to real quick, like to give you an example, I don't get very many views on YouTube because I'm not a video podcast. Usually, I just put out the audio,
right.
right? So I put it up anyway, on YouTube, and it got like thousands of plays. I'm like, what the hell? I get like 20, like because it's
Oh,
not
that's awesome.
it's not a video.
Oh,
Again, it's not a video podcast, so I'm not expecting a lot of plays on YouTube. But that means that thousands of people like listen to it on YouTube, which is to me kind of interesting. So yeah, I'm hoping there's the same kind of what do you call it, the same kind of success with it. If not, whatever, people are listening on Spotify, people are listening on Apple, but that was to me that was pretty cool. I'm like, whoa, that's different.
awesome. Congratulations, bro.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We did it
Oh, we
together. We did it
also
together. Yeah.
we have a YouTube channel also. High Five and Ants. I think it's just High Five and Ants, right? Productions. I think that's it, our YouTube page. And you can watch the trailer for 521 North Main Street. I think we have like 2 or 3 trailers for it on there. There's a 90, a 60 second, all right, 90 seconds, 60 second, and 30 second. Then you can see just skateboard videos I shot.
Okay.
Because when I'm not doing anything else, I go to the skate park and just shoot a lot of video and try not to get hit in the face with skateboards.
Very cool, man.
But skateboarding's it. Horror movies are it. It's what we love. What we
Mhm.
love. Shout out to everyone who skateboards. Shout out to everyone who loves horror, who loves movies, listening to the podcast, all of you. If you're sitting at home, picking your nose, hey, we all do it every once in a while. It's okay. It's all right. Ain't no
Man,
shame in it.
I gotta ask you because you're from New Jersey. You're in
Actually, I'm from New
Texas.
York. I lived in Jersey, but I'm
Oh,
from New
sorry, yeah,
York.
New York. Yeah, and now you're kind of like a Texas transplant there, man. Just for my curiosity, because I know a lot of people that move from California to Texas. You liking it there?
Honestly,
uh
I look at it this way. I like that I found people to work with here that I'm making movies
hmm
that I like that, but everything no, I'll be straight up with you. I'm not gonna lie. That's
You're not gonna tell me
no
Whataburger is the best fucking burger chain.
hell no. What? oh my God, that's like, oh, that's their church here. You can't go against Whataburger. Oh, I don't like Whataburger. You and your sleep here.
Mhm.
They don't know Whataburger. Give me a White Castle. You're from California. Give me a Fat Burger any day
There we go.
of the week. I mean, we have In-N-Out. I lived in California also. There's
Mhm.
In-N-Out and there's Fat Burger. I'm sorry, I went with Fat Burger
Hey,
all the
that's
time.
good, man. Yeah.
I love Fat Burger. I
Yeah.
love Fat Burger. Worst thing every day I was on. I like had no. I was like broke in California. And I'm like, oh, I think I have enough money in my account to go to Fat Burger. And
Oh,
I went to the drive-through and I ordered my Fat Burger. I was all excited and I handed them my debit card and I didn't have any money.
oof. Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't have enough for the Fat Burger that day. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was like I was in college and I had a long break in between classes. I'm like, let me just go down to the Fabric because I was at a well, it used to be an all girls school at Mount St. Mary's right there next to USC, right?
Okay.
And they had a Fat Burger right there, and I was like, let me just get something quick. I go and I get a burger, like a whole meal, and it's like over $20, close to like 25, $30. I'm like, what the hell did I order?
But at least
Oh,
you had the money. At least you
oh
got to enjoy it. I had
right.
no Fat Burger that day.
But
But
it is good, man. They get, and they make them huge too.
I think that's the whole thing about tech. You don't get a lot of that other burger here. So of course they're going to think, oh, Whataburger's the best. Go against a Fat Burger. You know, put it to the test.
Uh,
Put it next, get the White Castle burger, get the Fat Burger, and you put the Whataburger, and let try them all, and then you make your decision.
yeah, I'm,
But
I'm
yeah,
hoping I'm hoping we get a White Castle over here at some point. But I only had it in Vegas, and
oh,
those are nice little snacks. Oh man, those are good.
I just went back to New York to visit a couple months ago, and I didn't get to go to a White
Oh,
Castle, and I was pretty bummed about it. But I got good pizza though. I got good pizza and good Chinese food. It was
hey,
pretty awesome, man.
can't
Just can't
complain there,
find that.
right? Yeah.
Can't find that here.
Oh, okay. And I don't even get me started on the Mexican food. They think they invented it there too. So, yeah.
I got my friend Sergio Guerrero, the special effects guy. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll go out with him sometimes. He loves to eat. And he's like, oh, I'll take you for some good Mexican. And we'll go. And I'm like, really? And we'll sit there and it's cheap, but it's so good. He's like, you want more? I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. Just load up. Says, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Food. That's all you need to live. Food, horror movies, and skateboarding. There you go.
There you go, man.
That is it. And it's
Yeah.
happiness.
Keep it simple.
There
Well,
it is.
Mark, again, man, it's always a good time at this point, so definitely would, at any point, welcome you back, have another conversation, but really want to thank you for joining me today, man.
Oh, Fabian, thank you so much for having me on. Hey, if you're not doing anything next week, come on, come to the premiere. You come to the premiere if you want to fly out to Texas.
Oh man, I wish I could. Yeah,
January 12th. Come on.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, I hope you guys will do the drive-throughs over here at some point, but
Dude, that's
I'll,
next. It's Texas first, and I know California. Once again, it's warm in California, and you guys got drive-ins over there. Actually, you're over there. Shoot me, text me or something. Send me an email about a mom and pop drive-in
oh
that you
yeah,
know about, and
I
I'll
already
hit them
know a
up.
couple in my head. Yeah,
Seriously, bro, that'd be awesome. That'd help me out so much.
cool, man. Yeah, yeah,
Thank
definitely
you.
will. Yeah,
Cool, cool.
gotta get that movie out here, so that'd be great.
I do, and I will give you, full props. I will tell them, maybe in ignorance. I don't know. Maybe you can do a podcast from a live viewing of the movie at a drive-in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man.
Be
But
badass.
we'll definitely stay in touch for sure.
You got it, Fabian. Thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right,
All
bro.
right.
Have a good day.
All right, you too.
See
And
you later.
for everybody listening at home, I appreciate it. Thank you. Fuck you. Good night.
Ignorance and strength. Ignorance and strength. Ignorance and strength. Ignorance and strength.
Subscribe to the Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength Podcast and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.